aspiring actress in New York when she was lured to Hollywood by two West Coast producers, Homer Caron and Edward Belasco, who asked Entwistle to co-star in their play The Mad Hopes, with dreams of finally hitting the big time. Entwistle moved to Hollywood. Although the play was a success, it closed on schedule on June 4th, 1932, at which time Entwistle signed a movie deal with RKO Pictures and began working on the film 13 Women, 1932. Several months later, test screenings for the film produced very negative comments, many of which were directed at Entwistle. RKO held back the film from general release, while the director heavily edited the picture, deleting many of Entwistle's scenes in the process. According to those close to her, Entwistle took this to mean that she was a failure and would never succeed in Hollywood. On Friday, September 16, 1932, Entwistle said she was going to meet some friends, but instead she made her way to the top of Mount Lee. After placing her personal belongings at the base of the Hollywood sign, she used a workman's ladder to climb to the top of the H and jumped to her death. Trying to figure out how this is a mystery. She was only 24 years old. The suicide note found in her purse read simply, "I am afraid I am a coward. I'm sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain. P.E. 13 Women officially opened after Entwistle's death, and while it did not get good reviews, her name was never mentioned." Wow, that's depressing. Her uncle speculated to the press after her death that she was disappointed by not being able to impress the movie industry, and the rumors spiraled from there. The real cause of her decision to end her life remains a mystery, but to this day, Entwistle's suicide symbolizes Hollywood's ability to smash the dreams of so many aspiring actors and actresses. Yeah, that is depressing, but also, it's one setback. Oh well, maybe I'm harsh. Thomas Ince, a boat excursion turns deadly. Film mogul Thomas Ince, that's how you say his name, I don't know, joins other Hollywood notables for a weekend celebration in 1924 and ends up dead. Was it natural causes? Or one of the biggest cover-ups in Hollywood history? The movie industry has been rocked by scandal throughout its history, but few incidents have matched the controversy and secrecy surrounding the death of Thomas Ince, a high-profile producer and director of many successful silent films during the 1910s. He set up his own studio in California, where he built a sprawling complex of small homes, sweeping mansions, and other buildings that were used as sets for his movies. Wow, he was loaded. Known as Inceville, the studio covered several thousand acres, and it was there that Ince perfected the idea of the studio system and a factory-style setup that used a division of labor amongst large teams of costumers, carpenters, electricians, and other film professionals who moved from project to project as needed. Newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst offered to host a weekend birthday celebration for the struggling producer aboard his luxury yacht, the Oneida. I guess that's how you say it. Several Hollywood luminaries attended, including Charlie Chaplin and Marion Davies, as well as Luella Parsons, then a junior writer for one of the Hearst's East Coast newspapers. But at the end of the cruise, Ince was carried off the ship on a medical gurney and rushed home, where he died 2 days later. A hastily scribbled death certificate blamed heart failure. Almost immediately, the rumor mill churned out shocking and sordid versions of the incident, which were very different from the official line. A Chaplin employee who was waiting at the docks when the boat returned reportedly claimed that Ince was suffering from a gunshot wound to the head when he was taken off the Oneida. Could he have been the victim of a careless accident at the hands of a partying Hollywood celeb? Perhaps, but film industry insiders knew of the complex and passionate relationships among those on board, and a convoluted, bizarre scenario soon emerged and has persisted to this day. As it turns out, Davies was Hearst's longtime mistress, despite being almost 34 years his junior. She was also a close friend of the notorious womanizer Chaplin. Many speculate that Hearst, enraged over the attention that Chaplin was paying to the young ingenue, set out to kill him, but shot the hapless Ince by mistake. Certain events after Ince's death helped the rumors gain traction. Ince's body was cremated, so no autopsy could be performed, and his grieving widow was whisked off to Europe for several months, courtesy of Hearst, conveniently away from the reach of the American press. Luella Parsons was also elevated within the Hearst organization, gaining a lifetime contract and the plum assignment as the #1 celebrity gossip columnist, which she parlayed into a notoriously self-serving enterprise. Conspiracy theorists believe that she wrangled the deal with Hearst to buy her silence about the true cause of Ince's death. Lingering mystery: was Ince the victim of an errant gunshot wound and subsequent cover-up? If anyone in 1920s California had the power to hush witnesses and bend officials to his will in order to get away with murder, it was the super-rich and powerful Hearst. But no clear evidence of foul play has emerged after all these decades. Still, the story has persisted and even served as the subject for The Cat's Meow, a 2002 film directed by Peter Bogdanovich, something like that, which starred Kirsten Dunst as Davies and Cary Elwes as doomed Ince. Okay, here's the next one. Thelma Todd, suicide or murder? During her 9-year film career, Thelma Todd co-starred in dozens of comedies with the likes of Harry Langdon, Laurel and Hardy, and the Marx Brothers. Today, however, the ice cream blonde, as she was known, is best remembered for her bizarre death, which remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries. not stop her. With his help, Todd opened a roadhouse called Thelma Todd's Sidewalk Cafe, located on the Pacific Coast Highway, and the actress moved into a spacious apartment above the restaurant. Shortly after, Todd began a relationship with gangster Lucky Luciano, who tried to get her to let him use a room at the Sidewalk Cafe for illegal gambling. Todd refused. On the morning of December 16th, 1935, Todd was found dead in the front seat of her 1934 Lincoln Phaeton convertible, which was parked in the two-car garage she shared with West. The apparent cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning, though whether Todd was the victim of an accident, suicide, or murder remains a mystery. Little evidence supports the suicide theory outside the mode of death and the fact that Todd led a fast-paced lifestyle that sometimes got the better of her. Indeed, her career was going remarkably well, and she had purchased Christmas presents and was looking forward to a New Year's Eve party. So suicide does not seem a viable cause, though it is still mentioned as a probable one. In many accounts. The accident theory, however, an accidental death is also a possibility. The key to her car was in the on position, and the motor was dead when Todd was discovered by her maid. West suggested to investigators that the actress turned on the car to get warm, passed out because she was drunk, and then succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning. Todd also had a heart condition, according to West, and this may have contributed to her death. Nonetheless, the notion of foul play is suggested by several incongruities found at the scene. Spots of blood were discovered on and in Todd's car and on her mouth, and her nose was broken. Yeah, that's weird, leading some to believe she was knocked out and then placed in the car to make it look like a suicide. Police attributed the injuries to Todd falling unconscious and striking her head on the steering wheel. That doesn't make any sense. In addition, Todd's blood alcohol level was extremely high enough to stupefy her so that someone could carry her without her fighting back, and her high-heeled shoes were clean and unscuffed, even though she would have had to ascend a flight of outdoor concrete stairs to reach the garage, which was a 271-step climb behind the restaurant. Investigators also found an unidentified, smudged handprint on the left side of the vehicle. Good God, how much evidence do you need to realize it's not a suicide? Sorry, my little commentary. 2. With motive. If Todd was murdered, as some have suggested, who had motive because of her wild lifestyle? There are several potential suspects, most notably Pasquale DeCiccio, who was known to have a temper, and Lucky Luciano, who was angry at Todd for refusing to let him use her restaurant for illegal activities. Despite the many questions raised by the evidence found at the scene, a grand jury ruled Todd's death accidental. The investigation had been hampered by altered and destroyed evidence, threats to witnesses, and cover-ups, making it impossible to ever learn what really happened. An open casket service was held at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, where the public viewed the actress bedecked in yellow roses.